Hello everyone, this is Professor Aguilar. I just wanted to go over a sample map that shows you a pretty straightforward way of creating your map project. And you can find this sample map among the sample maps that I put into the instructions page of the assignment. This is a precipitation map. I created it using the nationalatlas.gov website, which is no longer functional, but you can create a similar map using, for instance, the National Geographic Map Maker. Okay, in this map, if we look at the legend, you see that the reddish orange colors mean drier conditions, and the greenish to blue and purple colors mean weather conditions. Okay, and I drew a red line around an area that I wanted to focus on to describe a pattern that we see. I'm beginning with the local map. Okay, so this Northern California, uh, I've titled it Northern California Precipitation. Notice that we do have a scale bar, and we have a north arrow. Okay, so this area, what pattern do we see? Well, what we see is that the precipitation changes as you move from west to east. Okay, so as you travel from west to east, conditions get drier. So that's the description, and that's the first thing that you want to write down. Then you want to explain the reasons behind the pattern. You want to explain why. So that is what we call the process. Okay, so here, even though we don't see it, there's a coastal mountain range that runs north to south, and the winds, this will be part of your explanation, uh, flow from west to east. So the westerlies, which are the winds we have at our latitude, flow from west to east. When they hit the mountain range, they rise, they cool, they condense. The moisture in them condenses and is deposited on the windward side of the mountains, leaving the leeward side of the mountains, the side that's not facing the wind, leaving that dry because the precipitation has been dumped on the western side. Moving to the regional map. So here we're looking at the entire state. The pattern that we see is more precipitation in the northern part of the state, less in the southern part of the state, more precipitation towards the coast, less in the interior, with one exception. Here in the interior, we see this band of precipitation. So that's our pattern. The question is, what is the process behind it? So here you would have to refer to pressure belts, global pressure belts. Basically, the southern part of the state is under the influence of subtropical high pressure systems or pressure cells, and high precipitation does not allow, high pressure, I'm sorry, does not allow for precipitation. This subtropical high belt is where you have the great deserts of the world. Okay, the northern part of the state, on the other hand, is under the influence of the subpolar low pressure belt. And low precipitation means rainy conditions. Okay, so it is, at that latitude where it comes under the influence of that pressure belt. But what's happening here? Why do we have high precipitation in the interior? Well, here we have the Sierra Nevada mountain range. So again, winds blowing from the ocean, they rise over the mountains, and these are pretty high mountains. And the higher the mountains, the more that you're going to get cooling of the air and condensation and precipitation. So we do get a lot of precipitation in the Sierras. Finally, we have the global, or in this case, continental. So global, you can do a global map or you can do a continental map. The continental United States, that's big enough. So here, the pattern that we see is that the eastern half of the country is wetter. The western half, with a few exceptions, is drier. The process behind it, or one of the main reasons why we see this, and we see this not only in North America, but throughout the world, every continent has basically the same pattern. The eastern side of the continent tends to be wetter than the drier side. And the reason for that is because currents, the way that they flow, the ocean currents, they flow in gyres or rotational movement around the ocean. Well, on the eastern side of the continent, the currents are flowing from the tropics to the north. So they're moving from south to north. So bringing warm water, warm tropical water towards the north. Okay, that water being warm carries a lot of moisture and it readily evaporates. Okay, so the evaporation from that water has a lot of moisture. This is, of course, the area where we get lots of hurricanes and tropical storms, all originating in the warm waters of the Caribbean or the tropics. In the western part of the country, on the other hand, we have water that is coming from the north, flowing north to south. So we get cold water from Alaska and Canada. So that water is not as likely to evaporate because it's not as warm. So we have less evaporation and therefore drier conditions. Okay, so I hope this helps. And as always, please ask questions to clarify whatever doubts that you may have.